So if you wanted to build an app, right, like the exact same software, the same code as the food delivery giant Talabat, it cost you roughly the price of a used Honda Civic.
Which is wild to think about.
Right. We're talking somewhere around maybe $20,000 to get a basic version off the ground. But here's the crazy part. In the first quarter of 2025 alone, that supposedly cheap digital platform generated $846 million in revenue.
Yeah, nearly $1 billion in just 3 months.
Exactly. From an app that cooks zero food, owns zero kitchens, and holds like absolutely no physical inventory. So, welcome to this custom-tailored deep dive designed specifically for you. Because today, we are exploring the invisible, multi-million-dollar physical machinery that's hiding right behind that code.
It really is a massive illusion of simplicity. Like
Yeah.
you sit on your couch, tap a button on your screen, and 30 minutes later, boom, a hot meal appears at your door.
It feels like magic.
Right, but the user only experiences the craving and the fulfillment. What is completely obscured from view is this highly volatile ecosystem. It requires relentless orchestration of human beings, digital infrastructure, and honestly, brutal financial economics just to ensure that single hamburger arrives warm.
If you are that curious learner who wants to crack open the invisible gears turning our modern economy, you are in the exact right place.
Yeah.
Because today's mission, we are unpacking the business model of Talabat, which is an absolute titan in the Middle Eastern delivery space.
A total giant.
Yeah, and looking at our stack of source material today, we have a comprehensive breakdown of the revenue streams, some really revealing competitor comparisons, and the literal price tag of their technological architecture.
And to really ground this analysis, we have to look at the sheer geographical footprint we are talking about here. Because Talabat, which translates to orders or requests in Arabic, by the way, is not some scrappy startup beta testing in a single neighborhood. They were founded in Kuwait back in 2004 by Abdulaziz Al Ghani. So they spent a solid decade quietly laying down infrastructure before Delivery Hero acquired them in 2016.
Wait, 2004? That's like way before the iPhone even existed.
Exactly. They were doing this early. And fast forward to their massive 2024 IPO on the Dubai financial market, and they are now operating across 9 different countries. The UAE, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Iraq, they are orchestrating logistics across wildly different urban landscapes.
Okay, let's unpack this, because this brings up the core mystery of this entire deep dive for me. They're facilitating millions of meals, yet they aren't a restaurant. They are fundamentally a digital middleman.
Right.
So how exactly does a middleman extract $846 million in a single quarter?
Well, they do it by monetizing the friction of the marketplace. Talabat is essentially a two-sided network. On one side, you have over 65,000 partner restaurants.
Yeah.
And on the other side, you have millions of hungry users. And bridging that physical gap between them is an army of around 119,000 delivery riders.
That is a massive workforce.
It is. And when you sit in the middle of that transaction, your primary lever for revenue is the commission. Every time an order is placed, Talabat takes a cut from the restaurant, which usually ranges from 15 to 35% of the total bill.
Wait, hold on. Up to a third?
Yeah, up to 35%.
That seems completely unsustainable for the restaurant. I mean, if I order a $30 meal, Talabat is keeping $10 just for routing the digital order. The restaurant still has to buy the ingredients, pay their chefs, pay their physical rent. Why would any business owner willingly hand over a third of their top-line revenue?
Because the alternative is invisibility.
Yeah.
The sources highlight this as the primary con for restaurants' deep platform dependency. Talabat has successfully aggregated the demand.
Ah, I see.
Right? So if a restaurant chooses not to be on the app, they aren't just saving 35%. They are losing access to millions of daily active users who use Talabat as their default search engine for food.
They literally don't exist to the customer anymore.
Exactly, but, you are observing a real structural limit here. There's a ceiling to how much commission you can squeeze before restaurants simply go bankrupt.
Right. They can't operate on zero margin.
Exactly. So once you hit that ceiling, a platform has to find new ways to extract value.
So they start passing the cost to the user.
Yep.
That would explain the delivery fees. Like, I pay a variable fee based on my distance from the restaurant, which supposedly covers the rider's time and fuel.
It covers part of it, sure, but Talabat also keeps a portion of that delivery fee. And they add service fees.
Oh, the service fee.
Yeah, those small, sometimes flexible charges that spike during peak hours or for complex orders. They are designed to offset their internal platform costs, like, payment processing and customer support.
But pushing costs onto the user creates a whole new problem, because I read through the consumer satisfaction data in our sources, and unexpected service fees are universally
Oh,
despised.
absolutely hated.
Right. When a user thinks a meal costs $20, goes to checkout, and suddenly sees $27 because of peak hour service fees and delivery charges, they just abandon the cart. It feels like a bait and switch.
Which is exactly why Talabat engineered two highly lucrative solutions to bypass both the restaurant's commission ceiling and the user's fee fatigue.
Okay, what's the first one?
The first is Talabat Pro. This is their subscription tier. The user pays a flat monthly rate, and in exchange, the delivery fees magically disappear.
Oh, I see the psychological trick there. If I pay the monthly subscription, I am essentially forcing myself to use Talabat exclusively just to get my money's worth.
Exactly.
Like, I won't even open a competing app because I've already sunk the cost into my pro status.
You've locked yourself in. It guarantees recurring revenue and enforces brand loyalty in a market where loyalty is notoriously fragile. Now, the trade-off for Talabat is that pro users actually generate a lower profit margin per individual order.
Because the delivery fee is waived.
Right. But they make up for that lost margin with the final and perhaps most brilliant revenue stream advertising.
Meaning those sponsored listings at the top of the screen when I open the app.
Yes. Pure margin. Restaurants pay a premium for that visibility. It requires zero physical logistics from Talabat. No writers, no insulated bags, just code highlighting a specific shawarma shop above another.
Okay, let's synthesize this for a second. Talabat operates like the ultimate digital landlord for an entire city's food scene.
That's a good way to put it.
They charge rent to the restaurants through commissions. They charge a toll at the door for users through delivery fees. They offer a VIP Fast Pass to heavy users via Talabat Pro. And they sell billboard space in the digital lobby through sponsored ads.
Yeah, they are monetizing every single angle of the interaction.
But balancing those 5 revenue streams sounds incredibly precarious. Like, if you squeeze the restaurants too hard on commission, they raise their menu prices.
Right, which happens all the time.
And if prices get too high, users stop ordering. So to justify all these tolls and fees, the actual service, the physical delivery, has to be flawless, which pushes us out of the digital realm and directly into the physical streets.
And that collision between digital expectations and physical reality is where most delivery platforms bleed money. Managing 119,000 human beings on motorcycles and bicycles is a logistical nightmare.
I can't even imagine.
The sources indicate that the digital revenue streams are really only as robust as the physical supply chains supporting them.
What's fascinating here is, and I want to break down the mechanics of this, it's easy to just say they do route optimization. But what does that actually look like in practice? The algorithm isn't just a basic GPS giving a rider directions, is it?
Oh, no, far from it. A standard GPS just tells you how to get from point A to point B. A marketplace algorithm has to synchronize entirely independent timelines.
What do you mean by independent timelines?
Okay, imagine a user orders a pizza and a side of French fries. The algorithm knows the pizza takes, say, 14 minutes in a stone oven, but the fries take only 3 minutes in the fryer. It also knows the assigned rider is currently stuck at a traffic light 2 miles away.
So the algorithm has a delay telling the kitchen to drop the fries into the oil until the exact moment the rider is 3 minutes away.
Yes, because if the fries sit on the counter for 10 minutes waiting for the rider, they arrive soggy. And when the fries arrive soggy, the user blames Talabat, not the restaurant.
Of course.
The open marketplace model creates this bizarre dynamic where Talabat assumes all the reputational risk for food they didn't even cook. Add in unpredictable variables like sudden rainstorms, traffic accidents, or a restaurant running out of specific ingredients, and you start to see why real-time traffic management and supply chain synchronization are incredibly expensive operational burdens.
Okay, so if managing an open marketplace with anyone and everyone is this chaotic, it opens the door for competitors to attack the model, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Looking at the competitive analysis in our sources, there are rivals actively exploiting the weaknesses of Talabat's broad approach. They aren't trying to beat Talabat at their own game. They're using what the industry calls salami tactics.
Salami tactics is the perfect framework for this. Competitors aren't trying to swallow the entire market whole. They're slicing off specific, highly profitable segments. Let's examine Jahez, for example.
Okay.
Founded in Saudi Arabia in 2016, Jahez looked at the open marketplace model and went in the opposite direction. Instead of being an asset-light middleman relying heavily on gig workers or third-party logistics, Jahez utilizes a direct delivery model with a strong emphasis on its own dedicated fleet.
Wait, I thought the whole golden rule of tech platforms was to remain asset light. Don't own the cars, just own the software. Why would Jaihez willingly take on the massive overhead of managing their own specific fleet?
Because vertical integration offers absolute control over that physical reality we just discussed. By tightening their operational focus heavily on the Saudi market and maintaining stricter control over the delivery apparatus, they can ensure a higher consistency of service.
They don't have to worry about the soggy fries as much.
Exactly. They are trading the massive multi-country scale of Talabat for intense local efficiency and reliability in a highly lucrative region. They essentially sliced off geographical dominance.
So, what does this all mean for the other players? If Jaihez is playing a regional, vertically integrated game, how does the UK-based Deliveroo fit into this battlefield? Because they operate in the Middle East as well, but their strategy seems entirely different.
Deliveroo uses a hybrid model, but their primary weapon, their slice of the salami, if you will, is exclusivity. They aggressively pursue exclusive partnerships with high-end or highly popular restaurants.
Oh.
Their pitch to the user is simple. If you want the best, most sought-after burger in Dubai, you can literally only get it on Deliveroo.
Oh, that directly attacks Talabat's core value proposition. If Talabat is a massive digital mall letting anyone set up shop, Deliveroo is the exclusive VIP club.
Spot on.
And Deliveroo ties those exclusive restaurants into their own subscription service, Deliveroo Plus. They're essentially starving Talabat of premium inventory.
And that forces Talabat to go on the defensive. If competitors are carving away premium restaurants in specific geographic regions, Talabat has to find a new way to ensure users open their app every single day.
Right. They need a new hook.
And the source data shows a massive pivot to counter this. Q-commerce or quick commerce. They moved aggressively beyond hot meals.
Right. They launched Talabat Mart for groceries. They deliver pharmacy items, pet supplies, and even flowers.
Exactly. By embedding themselves into the mundane necessities of daily life, they change the frequency of interaction. You might order a premium burger from a competitor on a Friday night, but you need milk, toothpaste, and dog food on a random Tuesday morning. Talabat wants to be the infrastructure for the Tuesday morning.
Man, this scale is almost difficult to hold in your head. 9 countries, over 100,000 riders, algorithmically timing French fries, battling exclusive VIP apps, and delivering everything from shawarma to cough syrup.
It's a lot.
It is. Which brings us back to the most staggering piece of our source material. If a competitor wanted to disrupt Talabat and build the underlying technology to challenge this empire, what does the code actually cost? Because apparently it's shockingly cheap.
It is. The source material provides a detailed breakdown of what it actually takes to build a delivery ecosystem. And it isn't just one single application. It is a 4-part technological architecture that must communicate seamlessly in real time.
Let's break those 4 parts down because earlier we talked about synchronizing timelines. How does the software actually do that?
Think of the architecture like a digital air traffic control system. The first component is the user app. This is what you hold in your hand. It needs real-time GPS tracking, secure payment gateways, multi-language support, and a highly intuitive interface. When you tap order, you are essentially firing a flare into the sky.
And the control tower has to see that flare.
Exactly. The control tower is the fourth component, the admin panel. This is the central brain of the operation, usually accessed via a web dashboard by the company's dispatchers and managers.
Got it.
The admin panel sees your flare, processes your payment, calculates the commission, and immediately pings the second component, which is the restaurant app.
So the vendor has their own dedicated software interface just sitting on a tablet in their kitchen.
Yes. The restaurant app manages the menu updates, receives the order, and provides an analytics dashboard for the business owner.
Makes sense.
Then, once the kitchen accepts the order, the admin panel simultaneously activates the third component, the rider app. This software tracks the courier's location, assigns the optimal route avoiding traffic, and calculates their earnings for that specific trip.
Okay, so it's 4 distinct pieces of software constantly talking to each other. The user app, the admin panel, the restaurant app, and the rider app. Now, I would assume building a robust air traffic control system like that from scratch would cost millions.
We'd think so.
But the estimates from development companies like Enatega in our sources are just mind-boggling.
Yeah, if you strip it down to a minimum viable product, basically a bare-bones stripped-down version of those 4 apps just to prove the concept works in a single neighborhood, the estimated cost is between $5,000 and $20,000.
Literally the price of a used car.
Exactly. Now, to be rare, A platform handling the volume Talabat manages requires significantly more firepower. They need AI-driven recommendation engines, advanced cloud hosting, multi-country currency support, heavy cybersecurity, you name it.
Sure.
But even a custom, feature-rich platform of that caliber is estimated to cost between $30,000 and $160,000.
Hold on, I really want to push back on this to make sure we are understanding the scale properly. $160,000 is a significant investment for a small business owner.
Hmm.
But we established at the very beginning of this deep dive that Talabat generated $846 million in a single quarter.
Yeah, the math is crazy.
In the context of nearly $1 billion, 160 grand is a rounding error. It's pocket change. So if the software is this cheap to replicate, isn't Talabat's actual moat just their brand recognition and the sheer physical army of writers? Like, why hasn't someone just bought the code and replaced them?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, you are hitting on the exact right point. Because you are looking at the code as the product. The code is not the product. The code is merely the starting line.
Right.
The true cost of building a Talabat competitor is entirely hidden in the physical operations and the psychology of the market.
You mean the network effect?
Absolutely. The value of a two-sided marketplace increases exponentially as more people use it. A user opens Talabat because all 65,000 restaurants are there. A restaurant winningly pays the painful 35% commission because millions of users are there.
And the writer logs onto the app because the density of orders guarantees they can actually earn a wage.
Exactly. It's a massive interlocking wheel, and breaking that wheel requires staggering amounts of capital. To convince a user to download your new perfectly coded $160,000 app, you have to offer them heavy discounts.
Oh, right. Free delivery for a month, that kind
Yeah.
of stuff.
And to convince restaurants to join, you have to offer them 0 commissions for the first year. To convince writers to deliver for an app with very few orders, you have to pay them an inflated hourly guarantee.
So you're just bleeding money.
You burn through hundreds of millions of dollars in marketing and subsidies just to create the illusion of a busy marketplace until it actually becomes one. The digital software is cheap, but human habit is incredibly expensive to change.
Wow. That puts everything we've discussed into a totally different perspective. We've really gone on quite a journey today. We started by looking at a seemingly magical button on our phones and traced it back to a single burger ordered in Kuwait over 2 decades ago.
It's been a wild ride.
It has. And we watched that concept evolve into a 9-country technological empire that brilliantly monetizes every single step of the middleman process. From the restaurant's kitchen to the rider's bike to the subscriber's wallet, they extract rent, they charge tolls, they sell digital billboards, and they lock in loyalty through subscriptions.
And, the essential takeaway from these sources is a fundamental shift in how we understand platform economics. Because Talabat's true genius is not in delivering food. Their real genius is in the mastery of a localized ecosystem.
Oh, absolutely.
By pivoting aggressively into groceries, pharmacy, and daily necessities, they are executing a psychological shift. They are moving the consumer mindset away from treating delivery as just a luxury on a Friday night and toward relying on their platform as an indispensable civic infrastructure.
Right. They don't just want to bring you dinner. They want to be the remote control for your entire city.
And they are building the physical logistics network to ensure you never have to put that remote control down.
Which leaves us with a truly fascinating final thought for you to ponder long after we wrap up today. We just learned that the underlying technology for a sophisticated delivery platform, that entire 4-part air traffic control system, can be built for under $200,000. We also know these mega apps are trying to encompass every aspect of our daily commerce, taking up to 35% of the revenue out of our local economies.
Yeah, that's a huge chunk.
Given how accessible that technology has become, will the future actually belong to massive regional titans like Talabat, acting as the centralized digital landlords of our cities? Or will the plunging cost of software development eventually trigger a rebellion?
That's the million-dollar question.
Could we see a future of ultra-local, neighborhood-specific apps, maybe owned cooperatively by the local restaurants themselves, that utilize that cheap code to cut out the massive middlemen entirely? It is the ultimate tension between the convenience of massive scale and the economics of local efficiency.
It really is.
Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the invisible multi-million-dollar machinery of modern convenience. The next time you pull out your phone and press that button to order a meal, take a second to visualize the staggering network of algorithms, riders, and economic forces humming away right beneath your screen. Keep asking questions and keep diving deep.